Greetings, everyone. Lumberg here. Today, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about mergers. I am very excited, super excited that we finally got a merger in our world 285. And the very first time that you're going to get a message, the official message is going to be an in-game message in your system notices that's going to be talking about this new world. This is really important. Read it. Um, if you want to read this, I'm going to put it in a Google Sheets view where I have the mergers listed and talk about some of the tips and everything in this video. So keep following along. If you're an expert at mergers, hopefully you'll learn a thing or two. If this is your first time, hopefully this will be a decent enough guide for you guys. So the key things to remember here is that the merger is going to be determined by Chaos Land winner. Now, this is 285 got announced for a March 18th merger, which is going to happen basically tomorrow, or server reset 4 o'clock. So basically in a couple of hours, it'll be down from 6 to 8. It'll be down for 6 to 8 hours. What I'm going to walk you through in this video is going to be a couple of things. So basics about the merger, how to interact with the people from the different worlds, your plan for Chaos Land, how you set agreements, how you divide the territory, and then as well as, what are some of the guesses that I have, because nobody knows this for sure. What are some of the guesses of what constitutes the triggers to get a merger? Because if you're in an unmerged world and fighting a merged world, it is not fun. Okay, so without further ado, let us begin. First, I want to show you where all the mergers listing are and how I came up with my information. It is in the official Age of Z, or now the name change is Age of Origins, in-game announcements. You'll see a lot of these messages from Princess of Doom, who is the main administrator of this official Discord page, and my boss as a vet. Okay, so here you can see that these are all the results from Chaos Land that happened. So the first time you'll get this message is a message in your inbox. However, this time there was actually some so the very heavy spenders in the game get VIP customer support and VIP agents essentially, and you can ask them questions. So one of them or a couple of them leaked some information to some of the VIPs, and so there was an accurate listing of the servers that was going to be merged, but it was a confusing, kind of a different combination of servers. So we actually reached out to the wrong people. We thought we were merging with 280 and 288. However, it was nice talking with them and exploring those prospects. However, we were very excited that we got 325 and 266. So we fought Chaos Land. So here you can see the battle results. I'm going to show you quickly of all these mergers. There's some interesting things. So basically what I did is, so you don't have to go through this list every time to say, hey, am I fighting a merged nation or an unmerged nation? I took all the information here along with some corrections by Sayez of 52, who's awesome at record keeping as well. So special thanks to Sayez for correcting some of my list. And I'm going to show you you're going to have the link in the description, but here's the spreadsheet that I put together of all the mergers listed in this. For the first 3 months of mergers, or the most recent 3 months, March, February, and January, I just listed the worlds in order of, when it's happening. So the most recent merger here you can see is March 18th. We are a part of that in 285. The Chaos Land winner has been determined. I'll show the results in a second. In this listing, you can see, all the worlds in numerological order or numerical order is listed here. This is helpful because it helps you understand, am I fighting a merged nation? When did they merge? Who did they merge with? Where did they come from? And then who hasn't merged and what are your chances of getting a merge if you study it. That's, however, a futile effort because it really is difficult because the publicly available information like BP, nation BP, alliance size, number of users, even if you can estimate it, won't have the main criteria, which is my hypothesis, is that it's based on spending. It's not mine alone. Many other people feel the same way, is that this is a business. This is a good game. They're in to make it for a profit, and the mergers are to trigger spending. And if there's a lull in spending, that's when you become a candidate for a merger. Okay, so in this listing here, you can see there's a couple of things in blue that I wanted to highlight. So you can see here there's this four worlds in blue, and what's also interesting is that there hasn't really been a merger for Globe 1 and 2 since June of 2021. So it's been a while. Most of these mergers here are in Globe 3, and the most recent ones were all really Globe 4. However, in blue is these Globe 3 worlds, which are much older, so players have been playing longer. They have the benefit of that extra time and extra strength that have been playing longer and have now basically done an agreement to make sure they most likely would be the Chaos Land winner and become the surviving world, but they wanted to get out of Globe 3 and into Globe 4. So 217, 237, and 234 all made an agreement and intentionally lost to in order to reach the better world. I was just thinking for a second. I don't think 237 may have not intentionally lost. That looked like a true battle. So let's take a look at the globe listing. So here in the globe listing, and this is interesting for a number of reasons. Here you can see that every 87 worlds camel introduces a new globe. This is important because if you are at that beginning end of the globe creation, so if you're at the earlier nations in the globe, you will have been in existence much longer than the later nation. And so you basically have a inherent advantage as an earlier world in each globe because you're competing in global conquests and other events where you're going to be matched together. This is why I put here in yellow highlight that a good time to actually start a new globe would be the early part of Globe 8, New World, sorry. So 610 to 615, if you're thinking of starting over, is a good time to do that. In fact, I am thinking of starting a Let's Play series where I basically take a almost free-to-play city, a new city, and then kind of just walk people through playing that and offering some early game tips. I've been out of the early game for a while, so this is kind of the plan. And then, if anybody wants to start with me, I'm probably going to start a new city in 610. Okay, with that tidbit of new content pointers, let's get back to our goal at hand, and let's take a look at those Chaos Land results. This one looked like a very fun, exciting, and well fought, heavily fought Chaos Land. You can just see by the number of points there, 8.4 billion to 8.2 billion, very close. Congratulations to 320. This also looks like a contested one, but won handily by 323. Congratulations, 323. Here you can see this is probably one of the ones that was predetermined. You can see kind of by the score also. And so 217 wanted to move into 333. 217 has, has a very strong alliance in it. I think it's the Dad Alliance, and it also has a vet. Here, you can see here, 234 basically, it clearly looks predetermined. 234 is a world that we wanted to match with in Void. I chat with a couple of people from there. They're almost undefeated in Void, and it would be a great matchup. Looks like we'll get a chance since now they will be in Globe 4, and they are now joining out of Globe 3 into Globe 4 in 269. And then 300, I don't know if this was predetermined or it was a fight, but 237 is benefiting from moving from Globe 3 to Globe 4 as well. And then our globe, here you can see our performance. We had a battle. It wasn't exactly predetermined. We really wanted to maintain our unbeaten record, our undefeated Void record, so we really fought hard for this. And it was great. We tested our battle prowess against both 266 and 325 and learned fighting techniques already, and hopefully we will use that to assimilate and grow stronger together. Next, let's talk about correspondence. So we talked about the official Discord page, where to find the merger listing, but if you scroll down to the bottom section, there is a nation merger section here. And in this nation merger section, basically you will have a couple of different chats. Here is pre-merger time. And in pre-merger time is where you will, once you once you find out, once you get that the hint that you're merging, once you get that in-game message, you want to come here and find out the leaders of the alliances. If you're a leader, or if you're not a leader, come here to find the other alliances and also create a spy city. A spy city takes a little bit of time to do it, so you can just the faster ways to come here on Discord, find the people. This is how we found the people and created basically a chat and started negotiating. What's going to be are we going to fight for Chaos Land? Is it going to be predetermined? What's going to be the strategy? How are we going to do this? And start making friends, because you'll have to work together. So pre-merger time in Discord is a nice way to start. You could also do it by spy cities. Sometimes I already had spy cities in some of them, so it's easier to chat. Remember to send personal messages. Your city needs to be level 12. So if you don't have that, or you don't have the patience to take it to level 12, go ahead and find people on Discord. Once you find those leaders, it's good to get everybody into a room and discuss out territory, right? So how are you going to split it? Here is obviously something that Nation 2 and somebody smarter than I did and put together a map where they actually divided it equally into 3 nations. I've seen a different version where the Chaos Land winner gets a higher territory than the other 2. So those are your 2 options. We elected to go with an equal one and use this map essentially, and then put our world names over it and use that. Next, I wanted to show you guys kind of my blueprint of then once we even have that territory, how do you divide it out into your alliances? How do you set some of the rules? You don't have to follow these rules. I am going to share these just because these are fairly common. Other people have put together this, they've shared it, so it makes sense to help and share. And special thanks to Simple Jack. He actually helped with some of the maps and some of the pointers in terms of alliance placement. And he's another vet that I recommend you go to his channel and check out his content too. His editing is far better than mine. One more file that will be in the links will be this file right here, which is where we ironed out our agreements and the rules. And then, I created some maps to kind of show the view, and here's that map that we copied over. And then this is my detail work that I put together in terms of once you have your world map, how do you basically determine which alliance gets what. So we determined that the top 3 from each nation will survive, and the top 1 will get the prime real estate as well as the benefit buildings. But how do you determine? How do you coordinate it? And remember, the new rules in merger is painstakingly slow. You can only place a flag every 2 hours. So that means per day you can place a maximum of 12 flags. So 5 days this limitation stays. 60 flags isn't a whole lot to get your territory. So 60 flags over 5 days is prime opportunity for a lot of confusion and conflict. So to avoid that, we basically created this map. And I'll explain what I did here. So what I did is, to kind of reward the main alliance with the best territory and the benefit buildings, I kind of looked at the map, how we're located currently. And if you look in your map view and click on this distribute resources view, it kind of shows you this rainbow colors. But those rainbow colors really reflects kind of the best resources to worst resources in terms of elite mines, benefit buildings, and just regular mines. So I thought that the territory that everybody should be distributed would be based on that. So here you can see that the best area, red and orange, is going to the top alliance, TEP, that's us, 10 Evil Pirates. And then the number 2 and number 3 are getting this area here. In this purple, you can see TEF and SET set is our 2 and 3 alliances, and then the remainder is the farms. So I put some of these coordinates, and then to make it even more helpful to prevent conflicts, there is this line that I calculated the gradient in and basically put in some simple formulas to say, here is that line in those resource colored areas that will help determine and help people avoid the conflict. So the blue line here is the border with 325. You can see here 325 in Watson, and then 266, our other partner, will be the red line. So hopefully you can use this and cater it to your needs and hopefully be helpful. And then I really created this to be a reference for, our nation and other nations that we're merging with, to kind of figure out that borderline and place, place the flags, place the alliance halls, and so on. So, as promised, let's come back to my thoughts on how you can get a merger. What are some of the factors that go into determining a merger? So, if you think about it from a financial, business, economics perspective, um, you know, all of these servers and these nations are basically getting people in different buckets of spending to be motivated to spend in the respective worlds by being the best in their world or being competing in their world. That's why these nations pop up fairly frequently, and that's why these nations compete with each other. So this is a pretty well run and directed model. And then the mergers really are to galvanize and prevent people, the game from dying off per world, bringing new life into it and helping compete and generating money. So the key thing here would always be that in these mergers and these lists, it has to be money. Keeping that in mind, so how does Camel determine these nations and how did they determine who should be matched with who? So some of the metrics that is officially shared does make sense. They look at several things in a very good video put together by AOZ Wiki Style. He does a great job with analysis, and his data skills are far, far better than mine. And he went through the March 18th mergers. If you haven't checked it, you can watch it with subtitles. And from that analysis, some of the things that he considered there is the on paper things that Camel uses to match nations together, right? So the comparative nation BP, and by nation BP, it seems like they only use the top 10 alliance BPs, because when you match in Global Conquest and you try to look at nation BP and try to add it up, if you add all the alliances together, you're going to actually come up with a much higher number. So with the hypothesis there is that nation BP is actually determined by the top 10. It is, however, very hard to engineer and get a merger, and I'll tell you why. Because some of the main component for a merger is stagnancy in spending. If you think that Camel doesn't track spending, you're very wrong, right? So they not only track spending, they encourage and they have special support for VIP players. If you didn't know that, now you know it. So, based on the number of VIP players in a server and how much they're spending, as well as the average spending, and what does it take to get a VIP's player status? I don't know, but I imagine it's basically more than a mortgage payment. So a lot of money. So once a world kind of reduces or has a stagnancy or a downward trend in spending, that is, I think, it goes into a watch list. This is my hypothesis. It goes into a watch list, and once the worlds are in that watch list, if they stay in that watch list for a number of periods, right, whether that be 2 months, 3 months in a row, and the trend keeps going down, that's when Camel will say, okay, it's a watch list, and then it goes into a merger bucket. And in that merger bucket, they wait until there's enough worlds in that merger bucket and then do the mapping of those worlds. And this is kind of jiving with how the information got leaked through a VIP contact this time, meaning we knew which worlds were up for merger. We just didn't know the combination. So if you look at the information, that kind of matches my hypothesis of spending is the main criteria. And then once that spending falls in a downward trend for a number of periods consecutively, that's what will trigger, essentially a matching with other similar worlds. And some of this matching really doesn't make sense, right? So if you look at it here, 333, 331, and 217, I mean, that is as far away as you can be in this whole merger list. So some of it doesn't make sense. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm sure 217 is happy to get a merger finally. They've had a long time without a merger. So my advice would be, if you really want a merger, it's essential you have to kind of, reduce spending. However, that's counterintuitive, because if you reduce spending, you're probably not going to be competing in the events and not growing the account, and most likely, people will lose the motivation. So it's a tough situation to be in. But some of the things you can do is, if it is triggered by certain other things like active accounts, nation BP, you could start trimming, and that's a good idea for just battles and voids, and start trimming your farms. Set rules of having farms below a certain tier of troop level. And most importantly, see if you can talk to the VIP contacts and have them push the VIP contact that they have to get an whether it be a direction of you want a merger, or whether it be threatening that you'll stop spending. That coming from a VIP person, and then with real action may trigger it. And but there's a lot of things that are unknown, and why certain worlds are getting mergers versus not is quite difficult. A quick recap of some of the merger basics is that your chat history, your battle reports, your saved coordinates will all disappear. Your alliance flags, buildings will all disappear. You still get back the alliance points to be able to place new flags, and they're subject to that the 2 hour cooldown per flag window. And you don't have to rejoin an alliance. So if you're in an alliance, you remain in that alliance. Now if you have cities that have the same name, you're gonna whoever was, I think, the oldest city gets to keep it first, and the other ones have to change it or get a. So you get a name change card, and all of this stuff is outlined here. But the basic thing that I want people to kind of understand is that you're going to lose. The whole territory is going to be different. You're going to have to place everything again. So that's where the negotiation comes in, and you do remain in the alliance. So you don't have to re-choose an alliance, but of course you can negotiate and then merge alliances and all of that later. I believe the other question is, will you still have a void for these 5 nations or these 15 nations that merge? I believe you still will have a void. In the past, it looked like the matching of the merged nations was with other most recently merged nations. So void recently merged nation versus recently merged nation. But of course, that will place with 5 of these. Somebody will get a other matching. I want to end with some Chaos Land impressive battles. Here is one that we failed. So you can see it's 57 versus 31. We fought heavily for this, and this is against Michael. Michael is a true powerhouse. I think he has 100 million BP, and his officer power is almost close to 9 million. So he fits the monster category. So 285 will finally have a monster. I mean, we really do have monsters, but not that they don't meet the criteria of the BP one. So, just because maybe we fought too much. So here in this battle, you can see that, from the get-go, attacking somebody with 100 million BP was difficult. So this was one where in the second round, they really readjusted, and Michael was waiting for us and had everybody reinforce him. And so great adjustment there, and we suffered a loss. Let's take a quick look at one where one more, again, most of the fun was with Michael. This is one where we basically caught him alone without reinforcements. This is in reverse chronological order, so you can see it was just him alone, and then we just kept speeding in, and poor Michael just he didn't have reinforcements. So I mean, he almost did as much. He killed as many troops almost as we did, and it was a good fight. He has some strong stats and some amazing titans. Last one, I promise, 63 versus 15. And here you can see, even though we actually won this, we lost more troops just because of the length of the battle and how strong he is. So here you can see the battle goes on for a while. 63 versus 15, so really not a fair fight, but he is a monster. So it really took us a lot of people just joining in and speeding in as we get through it to finally win. but we lost a lot of troops. With that, guys, I will finish this long video. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, please feel free to drop a comment or send me a note, and I will do my best to answer it. Of course, as we place the flags and I learn more things as we do this merger here in a couple of hours, I will have some more perspective and maybe make a part 2 of this video. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Much appreciated. Good luck to you all. Take care.